What if the things you throw away were the very pieces that could transform your backyard? Old bricks, rusty cans, empty bottles. Not junk, just beauty waiting to be brought back to life. Welcome to Arkan Aesthetic Studio. In this video, we're exploring from trash to treasure. Over 25 genius DIY ideas using recycled finds to edge your garden and patio with soul. Timestamps are in the description. Jump to whatever speaks to you. And if you have questions or thoughts, let's talk in the comments. This isn't just a video. It's a piece of our story. Every like, comment, or subscribe helps keep this dream alive. One idea, one family, one step at a time. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for seeing what's possible. One, bottle border brilliance. In the soft golden hush of an afternoon sun, when shadows grow long and colors seem to bloom a little brighter, beauty often reveals itself not in perfection, but in reuse, in rebirth, in reinvention. Today, we find ourselves walking the edge of small wonders, gardens framed by the forgotten, revived by the creative hands that chose to see potential instead of waste. Let's begin where glass meets green. In the second set of images, a vibrant square of tomato plants and herbs stands proudly surrounded by a rainbow of upside-down glass bottles. Green, amber, cobalt blue, each one once discarded, now stands tall, catching sunlight like stained glass in a chapel of soil and chlorophyll. The garden itself is orderly and productive, yet playful. There's a whisper of joy in the way colors bounce across the soil, as though nature herself is joining the celebration. These bottle borders are more than decorative. They serve as practical garden edging, keeping soil intact and deterring weeds, while also acting as thermal masses, retaining the sun's heat and slowly releasing it into the surrounding earth. This microclimate effect helps tender vegetables like tomatoes thrive, especially during cool nights in early spring or late summer. If you're planning to recreate this idea, seek out wine or soda bottles in thick glass. Bury them neck down for stability, and play with color placement to create patterns or gradients that feel personal and alive. We turn then to the playful elegance of painted plastic. On a sun-drenched patio, pastel-colored bottles form a charming picket-style border, each one delicately trimmed to a crown-like point. Their painted surfaces, soft pinks, baby blues, mint greens, are adorned with stenciled hearts and shapes, dancing with personality and handcrafted warmth. Behind them, bursts of marigolds and lavender bloom with enthusiasm, drawn into harmony by the gentle rhythm of repeating forms. This project is one of the most approachable and rewarding for beginner DIYers. Simply cut plastic bottles in half, invert the top, and secure them into the soil. Use outdoor acrylic paints or spray paints with a matte sealant to help withstand the elements. More than just edging, this technique becomes an invitation to children, to guests, to neighbors, to look closer and smile. And then, finally, we pause before another glowing garden. Set in dappled shade, another curve of kale and rainbow chard is bordered with translucent bottles filled partially with colored water. Light filters through them, casting stained shadows that shift as the sun moves overhead. It is utterly poetic, this interplay of shadow and sun, of glass and green. Here, design and gardening merge into a quiet form of therapy. These recycled bottles act like living art installations, The water inside can be dyed with non-toxic food coloring, and with time, even algae growth may give them an evolving, earthy look. You're not just crafting borders, you're framing nature, composing a soft symphony of light and life. These gardens aren't large. They aren't expensive, but they are rich, with intention, with care, and with the quiet courage to say, I can make beauty from what others left behind. And in doing so, perhaps we rediscover something within ourselves. A belief in transformation, a faith in small beginnings, a deep, unshakable truth that with enough love and light, even trash can become treasure. Two, Rustic Pallet Fence DIY. Sometimes, what we truly need isn't more space, but more soul. And in the forgotten corners of our backyards and patios, beauty often waits quietly beneath a layer of dust or rust. In this chapter of our journey from trash to treasure, we explore serenity crafted from simplicity, where bamboo, pallets, and tin reveal their second life under the warm sky. The first space feels like a whispered secret, a narrow patio nook transformed into a calming refuge with nothing more than bamboo and intentionality. The pergola, built entirely from thick bamboo poles, casts long, elegant shadows across the smooth wall, dancing gently with the movement of time. Light filters through the gaps, creating a rhythmic pattern of lines, as though the sun itself plays with architecture. There's something deeply meditative about sitting beneath a structure like this. Bamboo, a symbol of resilience and humility, adds not only aesthetic charm but natural cooling and sustainability. Lightweight yet sturdy, it breathes with the wind, whispering peace into your outdoor routine. Pair it with minimalist furniture and a small table, and suddenly, you've carved out your own little retreat, free from clutter, full of breath. If you're drawn to the natural and earthy, a DIY bamboo pergola may be your calling. Treated bamboo poles can last for years, and their installation, though requiring care, offers endless reward. A tip for durability: seal the bamboo and anchor the base in gravel or metal footings to prevent water damage. We now move to a different kind of charm: weathered, warm, and wonderfully practical. A rustic herb fence made from reclaimed wood pallets lines a pathway, worn paint peeling like pages from a well-read story. Galvanized metal buckets dangle from the slats, overflowing with green, rosemary, mint, thyme, scents that will cling gently to your fingers long after you touch them. This design blends the nostalgic with the nourishing. There's utility in vertical gardening, especially in tight spaces, but here it's done with grace. The aged texture of the pallet wood, contrasted with the fresh vibrancy of herbs, makes every inch of this fence feel alive. It becomes more than just a divider. It becomes a daily companion for anyone who loves to cook, brew tea, or simply brush their hand across leaves as they pass by. To recreate this, use pallets with solid structure and let their imperfections shine. Embrace flaking paint, rough edges, rusted hinges. These marks of age add soul. Secure your planters with metal hooks and consider planting varieties that can withstand sun exposure and occasional neglect, because even low-maintenance greenery can bring life to the everyday. And finally, the last garden sings with whimsy. Hanging from a metal pergola frame are pastel-colored tin cans, each one repurposed, painted, and planted with spider plants, daisies, and cascading vines. They hover in the air like floral lanterns, swinging gently with the breeze. The background blooms in harmony, a soft chorus of purples, yellows, and pinks tucked in beneath. This is more than a garden. It's a mobile of movement and color. Tin cans, which once held soup or beans, now cradle life and sway with purpose. This is the kind of DIY project that delights both child and adult, merging recycling with artistry. For anyone looking to replicate this display, remember, balance your weights well and use strong twine or macrame rope to add texture. Drill drainage holes at the bottom of each can and line them with gravel before soil to prevent waterlogging. Most importantly, choose plants that don't mind a bit of breeze and let them dance. Each of these creations reminds us of a simple truth. Beauty doesn't need a big budget. It needs attention, intention, and a little bit of belief in second chances. Whether it's bamboo transformed into a shaded retreat, wood pallets made into a fragrant wall of herbs, or tin cans turned into floating flower pots, these humble elements bring grace into our gardens and into our lives. So next time you hold something worn, empty, or used, pause, imagine, and perhaps give it one more story to tell. Three, bamboo garden edging for Zen vibes. In a world constantly asking us to go faster, to consume more, to replace rather than repair, there is a quiet rebellion in choosing stillness, in choosing simplicity, in choosing to frame a space with bamboo and let nature be the art. This is the language spoken in the tranquil corners of a Zen-inspired garden, where even the edges are intentional and soulful. The first image welcomes us into that peace. A gravel path winds gently between beds of moss and carefully tended grass, its borders defined by upright bamboo segments bound together with rope. The lines are clean, not rigid. The balance is perfect, not sterile. And in the distance, a Japanese maple unfurls its crimson leaves beside a weathered stone lantern. Elements placed not just for function, but for harmony. There is wisdom in this simplicity. Bamboo is not only beautiful and biodegradable, it is also resilient, lightweight, and resistant to rot when treated properly. This kind of edging doesn't just organize the path, it guides the spirit. For DIY enthusiasts, creating this effect can be meditative in itself. Cutting bamboo poles to uniform height, binding them with natural twine, and pressing them into the earth with care. The reward is more than aesthetic, it's emotional. Then, there is water. In the second image, a koi pond rests like a mirror beneath the open sky, its form cradled by a border of vertical bamboo. Each pole reflects back onto the water's surface, repeating itself in a rhythm that feels alive. Water lilies float calmly, their blossoms pink against the green pads, while koi dance beneath, adding movement to the stillness. Around the pond, bonsai trees sit in quiet contemplation. The bamboo edging not only keeps the structure intact, but adds an organic softness that stone or concrete could never offer. It's a beautiful contradiction, the delicate appearance of bamboo paired with its actual strength. For those building their own pond, this design is an invitation to work slowly, to shape a corner of the yard into a living sculpture of water, wood, and time. Use natural liners beneath the pond to protect the soil, and anchor the bamboo in a shallow trench lined with gravel. Consider adding submerged lighting or floating candles to extend the tranquility into the evening hours. And finally, we arrive at a raked garden of gravel and shadows, a Zen space reduced to its most essential forms. Here, in the last image, bamboo edging outlines square and curved spaces where a single tree stands tall, and a sculptural stone rises as its quiet companion. The gravel, raked in concentric rings, invites the mind to settle, the eye to soften. What makes this space so profound is its restraint. There are no flowers shouting for attention, no clutter, only elements that have earned their place through meaning. Horizontally laid bamboo poles define the space with gentleness. Their natural color complements the grays and greens, while their placement offers structure without suffocation. For anyone wishing to bring this feeling into their own backyard, it starts not with tools or budgets, but with intention. What emotion do you want to evoke in this space? Calm? Reflection? Renewal? Bamboo can help you draw that line, literally and figuratively. These aren't just gardens. They are sanctuaries, places where the boundary between built and grown, between designed and discovered, disappears. And perhaps that's the deeper lesson, that beauty lives not in extravagance, but in quiet craftsmanship. In the humble edges we create, in the soft way we choose to walk through the world. So gather your bamboo, your gravel, your patience, and make something that doesn't just please the eyes, but rests gently in the heart. Four, trash can planter corners. In the forgotten corners of our homes, tucked beside garden sheds or leaning against wooden fences, old trash bins once waited for their final fate. But sometimes, beauty blooms in the most unexpected vessels, especially when seen through the eyes of someone willing to imagine something more. In the first image, a galvanized metal trash can has been reborn. No longer a symbol of waste, it now stands tall and proud, brimming with life. Basil stretches upward, rosemary stands like a green torch, and the gentle leaves of cilantro sway softly in the breeze. Tucked among the herbs, small garden tools rest like well-worn instruments of a backyard symphony. The lid leans beside the can, now simply a backdrop to this herbaceous crown. This is the magic of functional upcycling. Metal trash cans are perfect planters, deep enough to allow roots to flourish, and sturdy enough to weather the seasons. To make one yourself, simply drill drainage holes at the bottom, layer in gravel and soil, and plant herbs that thrive in confined yet well-drained spaces. This is not just gardening, it's a quiet revolution in how we perceive purpose. The second scene bursts with color and nourishment. A bright yellow plastic bin, once mundane, now overflows with leafy lettuce, eager spring onions, and radishes peeking like little red marbles from the dark earth. It's nestled into a bamboo-fenced corner, turning what might have been an overlooked spot into a vibrant miniature farm. This design proves that even the smallest space can be abundant. Whether you have a balcony, a side alley, or just a patio corner, bins like these can become microgardens for fresh meals. Choose vegetables that thrive in shallow but wide containers. Add compost-rich soil, keep it in a sunlit spot, and water consistently. Your harvest will be as satisfying as the creation itself. And if you're a parent, this is a wonderful way to introduce children to gardening. They'll love decorating the bin, planting seeds, and eventually harvesting the crunchy rewards of their effort. It's practical, playful, and purposeful all at once. Then we come to the third image, where rustic elegance takes root. A navy blue trash can with soft rust marks now stands as a planter tower in a peaceful patio corner. Geraniums in red, white, and blush spill out from the top, mingling with trailing ivy and the quiet cheer of lantana. Drainage holes dot the lower edge, discreet yet essential, and the entire display is framed by nearby pots, each contributing to a sense of balanced color and calm. This isn't just repurposing, it's reclaiming dignity for an object that once held no charm. When painted with care and paired with thoughtfully chosen plants, Even the humblest container can become a statement piece. Choose flower varieties that bloom throughout the season, and consider climbers or cascading plants for contrast and height. The result? A backyard vignette that speaks not just of taste, but of intention. These trash can planters tell a story of giving new life, of seeing the overlooked, and of shaping beauty with your own hands. They remind us that inspiration doesn't require a shopping cart, only a shift in perspective. Because when we choose to look again, what was once waste can become wonder. So go ahead, open the lid, scoop the soil, and let something unexpected grow. Five Gazebo accents from junk finds. At the heart of a warm and welcoming garden lies more than just the plants. It's the personal touches, the forgotten items reimagined, and the whimsical corners that tell stories of creativity and care. This is where junk becomes charm, where things once tossed aside now cradle color and candlelight. This is the soul of a garden gazebo, kissed by the past, revived by the present. Our journey begins with the gentle flicker of candlelight suspended from spokes. Above a wooden gazebo, nestled in a green haven of climbing roses and leafy hedges, hangs a chandelier, crafted not from crystal, but from bicycle wheels. The circular frames, once spinning along old backroads, now rest in elegant stillness, suspended by chains. From each spoke, mason jars dangle, softly glowing with tea lights, casting warm pools of amber light across the wood grain below. This design is not only breathtaking, it's deeply poetic. It speaks of repurposing movement into pause, of taking something fast and giving it a moment of stillness. The bicycle wheels, when seen from below, become a sort of industrial mandala. Making this is easier than it seems. A few strong hooks, some sturdy chain, and imagination is all you need. It's a piece that transforms not just the space, but the atmosphere. Next, we are greeted by windows that open not to the world, but to flowers. A collection of vintage window frames, their paint peeling like old stories, lines the side of the gazebo like a gallery wall. Suspended from their hollow spaces are hanging pots, each overflowing with vibrant petunias, delicate ferns, and blooms that trail like soft brushstrokes. They bring life into the old wood, turning absence into abundance. This idea is perfect for those who love layering texture and memory into their space. Old window frames are often found discarded or in junk piles, waiting to be claimed by someone with vision. Mount them securely and let them act as portals of possibility, where flowers become the panes and light dances freely. The contrast of wood, rust, and petals is simply irresistible. Finally, along the soft green railing of the gazebo, a row of weathered toolboxes, metal and wood, now cradle color instead of tools. Their compartments once held hammers and wrenches. Now they nurture pansies, zinnias, and sprays of baby's breath. Some still wear their faded brand labels, reminders of the hands that once used them. It's a tender transformation from labor to beauty. These toolbox planters are not just creative. They're durable, mobile, and full of soul. They can be moved with the seasons, repainted, refilled, and reused year after year. Drainage holes can be drilled with ease, and their rugged charm makes them the perfect complement to a more polished outdoor setting. This is what it means to create a garden with character. Not to copy a catalog, but to compose a story from what you already have, or what others have forgotten. Each piece, from the wheel to the window to the box, reminds us that purpose can be reimagined. That beauty is often just a second glance away. So let your garden tell your story. Let it sing with color, with texture, with quiet flames in repurposed glass. Because sometimes, the most meaningful spaces are not the ones we buy, but the ones we build from the pieces left behind. Six, tiny patio pergola upgrade. There is something quietly poetic about a tiny patio made whole again with little more than salvaged wood, leftover cans, and a bit of care. In these small spaces, wedged between walls, nestled behind homes, or tucked beside flower beds, we find not limitation, but invitation. A chance to create something meaningful from what's been cast aside. The first patio tells a simple love story between rough-hewn timber and tender wisteria. Here stands a mini pergola, humble in height but rich in charm, built from reclaimed wood bearing the beautiful flaws of its past. The soft grain, the scattered knots, and hints of faded paint speak not of imperfection, but of authenticity. Below it sits a delicate bistro set, where two chairs patiently wait, cushions plump and playful. Above, string lights hang like whispered laughter ready to glow at dusk. This is where morning coffee becomes ritual, where evening air is best enjoyed in the flicker of soft bulbs and climbing petals. It's a reminder that you don't need a vast yard or a grand budget to build sanctuary. A few old beams, rescued from demolition or found in a salvage yard, are all it takes to frame a little piece of peace. In the next space, we step into a living canopy of color. Suspended from a sleek black metal pergola are pastel-painted tin cans, swinging gently in the breeze. But these aren't just decorations. They are planters brimming with life. Spider plants spill their striped leaves like green waterfalls, while trailing vines and delicate flowers add splashes of pink, lavender, and chartreuse. The cans themselves are transformed by hand, cleaned, painted, and drilled for drainage. Their mismatched shapes only enhance the charm. Some retain the faint pattern of a label once glued in place. Others shine with fresh coats of mint, blush, or sky blue. Together they make a vertical garden that dances in the wind and catches the eye from every angle. This idea is especially powerful for small patios or renters who want garden beauty without digging in the ground. It's movable, modular, and made with love. And finally, we arrive at a passageway between brick walls, where sunlight filters through a bamboo-topped pergola. Slender stalks of bamboo are laid side by side overhead, allowing both light and shadow to mingle across the tiles below. The walls may close in, but this place feels open, breezy, and deeply calming. Underneath, two rattan chairs offer rest, their backs curved like a gentle invitation. A small table with a single potted succulent completes the scene. There are no bright flowers, no bold gestures, just texture, tone, and stillness. This design is proof that minimalism can be rich with emotion. The bamboo above creates dapples of light like moving lace, while the natural materials below reinforce a feeling of groundedness. This kind of pergola isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention, but it quietly transforms a narrow, overlooked area into a meditative retreat. Each of these patios teaches us something different. That age has beauty, that cans can bloom, that shade and sunlight need each other, and most of all, that no space is too small to matter. So the next time you pass a piece of scrap wood or hold an empty tin in your hand, pause. Look again. You might not be holding trash. You might be holding the beginning of something beautiful. 7. Colorful tin can flower wall. In a quiet corner where would meet sunlight, a once ordinary fence has become something extraordinary. What used to be forgotten cans, simple, everyday objects destined for the bin, have found new life, transformed by human hands into cradles of color and joy. The morning light spills softly across a rainbow now blooming vertically. Red, yellow, blue, green, and orange. The cans are no longer just containers. They are storytellers, each one holding a tiny world inside. Marigolds reach upward with golden fire. Petunias spill gently over their painted rims, and nasturtiums unfurl like playful dancers, tumbling down in laughter. There is a sense of childhood here, of playful afternoons and paint-streaked fingers. A reminder that beauty doesn't need to be grand or expensive. Sometimes, it begins with what we already have. Not far away, a quieter version unfolds. On a rustic brick wall, the palette shifts, pastel hues whispering instead of shouting. Mint, lavender, and soft blush pink bring a vintage charm, like pressed flowers between the pages of a long-forgotten book. The cans here wear their age with grace, some still bearing faint traces of their old embossed labels, like faded signatures from another life. Baby's breath flutters like snowfall, and pansies gaze up with wide-eyed innocence. Together, they compose a wall not just of flowers, but of quiet sentiment. It's delicate, dreamy, and deeply human. And then, there is the simplest incarnation of all. No color, no paint, just bare metal, kissed by time and weather. A row of silver cans hangs against wood like humble ornaments. Inside them, zinnias and begonias bloom with honest brilliance. The sunlight glints off their curved surfaces, casting long shadows that stretch across the grain of the fence. It's raw and real, proof that even without adornment, the ordinary can be breathtaking when paired with a little care. This isn't just gardening, it's the art of seeing potential, of slowing down and noticing what's still useful, still beautiful, still capable of holding life. It's a quiet rebellion against waste, and a celebration of creativity rooted in the everyday. So next time you finish a can of tomatoes or beans, don't throw it away. Wash it, paint it, or don't. Hang it on a wall, fill it with soil, tuck in a tiny seedling, and watch what happens. You might just find that in the act of giving something a second chance, you've gifted your space something far more valuable: character, color, and soul. Eight, farmhouse fence with reclaimed wood. When the late afternoon sun begins its slow descent and the golden light spills across the backyard, there's something deeply poetic about a simple fence, weathered by time and gently reimagined with love. In this quiet transformation from rustic wood to charming garden feature, we find a celebration of reuse that sings with soul. A once-forgotten whitewashed fence now holds life once more, its peeling paint revealing the grain of history beneath. Along its length, Galvanized metal pails sway slightly in the breeze, cradling bursts of red geraniums and delicate ivy. The juxtaposition of aged wood and vibrant flora creates a timeless farmhouse elegance, an ode to the art of seeing beauty not just in the bloom, but in the vessel that holds it. Even the gravel path beneath whispers a rhythm of footfalls and stories, grounding the lightness above. Just a few steps away, another narrative takes root. Natural slats of reclaimed wood stand tall in handcrafted unity, embracing a square of lush green. Within this tiny garden enclosure, small wooden boxes rest gently against the fence, overflowing with herbs, perhaps thyme, maybe basil, and seasonal blooms that sway softly. There is no polish here, no perfection, only authenticity. The sun has kissed these planks into a soft, silvery hue, and every knot or crack is a testament to time, to use, to life well lived. And now, these textures serve not as flaws but as features, framing edible greens in a space that welcomes barefoot steps and the hum of bees. And then, at a quiet corner where two sides of a garden meet, the silhouette of a crisscross barn fence stands proudly. Built from thick beams with stories in their fibers, this crossbuck structure leans gently with moss softening its base, as though the earth itself is slowly pulling it back into its fold. But above, triumphantly rising behind it, is a row of sunflowers, tall, glowing, reaching toward the sky with unapologetic joy. They peek over like old friends offering warmth and cheer. There's no need for extravagance here. Just sunlight, reclaimed timber, and nature's effortless design. To turn trash into treasure is not merely a trend, it is a return to intention. A reminder that what is old is not necessarily over. With a bit of vision, a splash of soil, and the humility to work with what we have, our everyday spaces become sanctuaries. These DIY fence ideas aren't just decor. They are poetry built with planks, petals, and purpose. Nine, Seascape-themed backyard decor. Along a path softened by sea-kissed sand and blue hydrangeas in full bloom, a row of driftwood stands quietly, each piece uniquely weathered by wind and water, adorned with humble shells and white starfish. This border, made not of precision but of poetry, tells the tale of treasures once forgotten, now repurposed with care. The garden sings with color and contrast, where the rough grain of the wood meets the smooth shell's shine. This is not just decoration, it's a whisper of the ocean brought home, a story etched in every curve and grain. Just a few steps away, the air carries a gentle salt-like memory. A sky-blue fence becomes canvas to a corner rich in maritime charm. A heavy rusted anchor leans with quiet dignity, rope coils hang as if waiting for the tide, and an old crate overflows with succulents and sea lavender. There's beauty in the restraint here, calm in the curated imperfection. With just a few repurposed finds, the corner is transformed into a portal, a moment of pause that feels like standing on a dock, watching seagulls glide by. As dusk settles in, magic begins to flicker. A narrow garden path glows not with electricity, but with soul. Glass jars turned lanterns rest atop humble wooden posts. Inside, sand and shells cradle soft candlelight, casting a warm and welcoming rhythm that feels like waves brushing the shore. These simple vessels, once discarded, now illuminate the way with coastal warmth. It's proof that charm doesn't require perfection, just a bit of imagination, and a heart that sees value in what others overlook. Here, the seaside doesn't need to be near. With driftwood borders, nautical corners, and glowing beachside lanterns, you can craft your own shoreline wherever you are. You only need to begin to gather pieces weathered by time and let them speak softly into your space. Because the most meaningful gardens are not grown from luxury, but from memory, intention, and the gentle act of giving forgotten things new life. Cheap DIY garden borders with bricks and bottles. In the quiet corners of a garden, where creativity meets nature and yesterday's discarded objects find new purpose, beauty blooms in the most unexpected ways. What once lined kitchen shelves or cluttered recycling bins has now been reborn into the humble hero of garden edging, each piece telling a story of reinvention and intention. In one delightful space, clear plastic bottles filled with soil are planted like sentinels around tidy flower beds, their translucency catching the light and forming a gentle barrier between earth and walkway. These borders are paired with bricks and stones, arranged not just for practicality but with an artist's eye, creating small islands of green marigolds and climbing beans, protected and celebrated within their patchwork frame. It's a space that speaks of care and conservation, where every component plays a part. Just a few steps away, the shimmer of green glass catches your attention. A path runs like a rustic ribbon through a garden, bordered by mossy bricks on one side and a graceful row of upturned wine bottles on the other. The bottles reflect the sun like emeralds in the soil, their once forgotten forms now contributing to something living and poetic. Daisies nod gently in the breeze, as if in quiet applause for this charming reuse of simple materials. Further along, a vegetable bed thrives behind a playful zigzag fence, red bricks tipped on their edges and sturdy green bottles interspersed between them. It feels cheerful and practical at once, giving structure to the peppers and parsley within while telling a visual story of balance and rhythm. The texture of rough brick meets the sleek coolness of glass, and together they create a boundary both functional and utterly inviting. These DIY garden borders are not only cost-effective, they are a celebration of ingenuity and sustainability. They remind us that a beautiful space doesn't need new purchases, only a bit of thought, a dash of inspiration, and a willingness to see treasure in what others may cast aside. With every edge you define using reused bottles or bricks, you're also defining your intention to tread more lightly on the earth, and that's a line worth drawing. Upcycled furniture into planter corners. In the quiet corners of a garden, where creativity meets nature and yesterday's discarded objects find new purpose, beauty blooms in the most unexpected ways. What once lined kitchen shelves or cluttered recycling bins has now been reborn into the humble hero of garden edging, each piece telling a story of reinvention and intention. In one delightful space, clear plastic bottles filled with soil are planted like sentinels around tidy flower beds, their translucency catching the light and forming a gentle barrier between earth and walkway. These borders are paired with bricks and stones, arranged not just for practicality but with an artist's eye, creating small islands of green marigolds and climbing beans, protected and celebrated within their patchwork frame. It's a space that speaks of care and conservation, where every component plays a part. Just a few steps away, the shimmer of green glass catches your attention. A path runs like a rustic ribbon through a garden, bordered by mossy bricks on one side and a graceful row of upturned wine bottles on the other. The bottles reflect the sun like emeralds in the soil, their once forgotten forms now contributing to something living and poetic. Daisies nod gently in the breeze, as if in quiet applause for this charming reuse of simple materials. Further along, a vegetable bed thrives behind a playful zigzag fence, red bricks tipped on their edges and sturdy green bottles interspersed between them. It feels cheerful and practical at once, giving structure to the peppers and parsley within while telling a visual story of balance and rhythm. The texture of rough brick meets the sleek coolness of glass, and together they create a boundary both functional and utterly inviting. These DIY garden borders are not only cost-effective, they are a celebration of ingenuity and sustainability. They remind us that a beautiful space doesn't need new purchases, only a bit of thought, a dash of inspiration, and a willingness to see treasure in what others may cast aside. With every edge you define using reused bottles or bricks, you're also defining your intention to tread more lightly on the earth, and that's a line worth drawing. Japanese garden path with salvaged stones. In a world where nature and nostalgia gently collide, there lies a path made not from stone alone, but from stories, textures, and forgotten fragments. These gardens whisper reminders that beauty doesn't always begin as perfect, but is often shaped by time, hands, and the willingness to see something more in what's been left behind. Take this peaceful passageway, lined with salvaged slate, meandering softly between tufts of ornamental grasses. A wooden gate swings slightly ajar, inviting you to wander. No rush, no noise. The maple trees above glow in quiet crimson, their leaves drifting down like thoughts finding rest. Here, slate once discarded becomes a meditation, each step forward a practice in calm. Elsewhere, the Zen trail curves like a river of thought. Uneven, moss-edged stones float above white gravel, their placement as mindful as poetry. Bamboo poles edge the walkway, natural and humble, gently guiding the eye. A bonsai tree bows nearby, ancient in spirit, offering its presence without needing to be noticed. In another nook, a stone basin murmurs water beneath a bamboo spout, its soft trickle echoing time's patience. The stones beneath your feet were once part of something else. Old buildings perhaps, their foundations long lost. Yet here, they anchor serenity. Ferns and dwarf pines fringe the edges like guardians of stillness, while black river pebbles flow like shadows between breaths. This is the heart of it all, the transformation of what once was into what quietly becomes. You don't need a grand budget to shape peace. Only a few broken pieces, a little imagination, and the belief that even salvaged things can guide the soul home. So look around your space with new eyes. The path is already waiting, perhaps in the pile of slate behind the shed, or the stack of bricks near the fence. It begins with one stone laid with care, one step toward calm, one choice to turn the ordinary into sacred ground. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.